Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Warcom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. We call it Beyond the Press Release, but this one's going to be Beyond the Press Releases because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big pieces of news that have come out while everyone was vacationing. But Peter Hawley, you can see him on the screen, President CEO of Fabled Silver Gold, has been working hard with some pretty big results. For those of you new to the story, because you may be seeing these headlines, they're very difficult to ignore. The company controls 100% of the Santa Maria gold and silver property in Mexico. It's a high-grade underground silver gold mine situated in the center of the Mexican Epithermal silver gold belt, which has produced more silver than any other equivalent area in the world for the last 500 years. So they're in a great neighborhood. Their specific Paral mining friendly jurisdiction itself has produced over 250 million ounces of silver. Multiple major operators in the vicinity, including Grupo Mexico, which borders of Santa Maria. The company has a silver equivalent 43101, but that's looking to get a major upgrade based on the drilling that's going on. Let's talk about the last 4 press releases. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thanks, George. Yeah, and we have been busy this summer. Yeah, everything is going flat out.
I was on vacation, so as you can see, I got a bit of a California tan going on, and I come back because I completely got off the grid. But all kidding aside, it's unbelievable the news that you put out. A new gold system, 580 grams per ton of silver equivalent, plus lead, zinc, and copper. You intercepted a gold-bearing vein structure. Another press release, a new high grade vein breccia outside of the Santa Maria boundaries. And the big one yesterday, you hit a supergene. I don't even know what that is. We're going to talk about that. A supergene quartz breccia with some big numbers. Before we get into specifics, here's what I ask you. Grade is king. Of all the intercepts that you've returned in this last 3 weeks, which ones are the most significant to your exploration program?
That's a great question. Tricky one to answer, but I guess how I'll try to answer it, George, is in 2 domains. One is a silver domain and one is a gold domain. Okay. Because this gold thing has popped up and it's a separate beast upon itself. And so in the silver domain, hole 15, the surface drill hole number 15 this year, that was a great hole, and we hit over 2.2 kilos of silver. And what we're trying to establish by the surface drilling is because the deposit only was drilled down to about 120 meters vertically, is, we're drilling down 200 meters, 250 meters. I think the deepest we've drilled was about 350 meters vertically right now. So we're adding roots to the overall resources. So, we've had multi-intersections of kilos of silver and everything else at depth, and we're tying it all in. But on the other side of the program, which makes me excited, is that, and as we're drilling underground, and we're defining high quality ounces and a very high resource statement where it'll be. And for an example, you made reference to, we call them SMUG holes underground. SMUG is SMUG, Santa Maria Underground, SMUG.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so SMUG 12, we drilled out horizontally and we went outside of the the hanging wall structure of Santa Maria, and long and behold, we hit a little over 1,072 grams of silver equivalent, brand new, sitting there. So then, is it real or is it a one-off? And then in the same plane, you drill below that to hit it at 125 meters vertically below that. And boom, there it is, 541, over a half a kilo. And then we went to the east, and these are the last ones reported. So we went to the east, 50 meters. Does it still exist? 800 or 689 grams of silver equivalent. And then we go to the west, see, does it still exist there? And there's 495 grams. So, this thing, that one little section, just for an example, that'll be in the measured category, and a very high number. And the original resource when we started off, it was using a head grade of 335 grams of silver equivalent. So this, on the epithermal silver side, George, we're doing excellent, very high grade values. It's coming together quite nice. We show it works at depth. But the other side of that is, we're doing exploration, and no one's explored for some reason, which is beyond me. But anyways, no one's explored to the west. And hole 22 from surface, we drilled it, and bang, we hit this big gold domain system where before, in the epithermal part of it, if you did have high silver, you'd have elevated gold, but nothing. Whereas in this, which is hydrothermal, not epithermal, we get gold, but we don't get a heck of a lot of silver at all with it. It's gold. And so
and you came out of retirement for Santa Maria based on the silver.
Yeah.
Gold is just a great surprise.
Oh, it is. And it's very intriguing. And the reason why it's so intriguing so much is it's big. Volumetrically, it's big. The original hole 22, it had 22.6 grams of gold in there in the big intercept, and then had 14 grams of gold in intercepts, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then to the point where our last news release, and we kept stepping out 75 meters, and our last news release, we came out, and this thing is now a sheeted vein complex with, within the diorite porphyry dike, and it's 150 meters wide. So if you want to build volume in a hurry, or tons, this is the way to do it. And everything says it's getting richer at depth. So, and between all that, George, with a couple of feeder holes that we hit, and the feeders are coming out, leaking out into the system. But, one hole 23, 580 grams of silver, okay, a little over a half kilo. But it also had 19.9% lead, 5.18% zinc, and 1.29% copper. I mean,
are you finding stuff that you just weren't expecting? Because you had high hopes for Santa Maria on the silver, and it's delivering.
Yeah.
But it just seems like more is happening than. Is it fair to say that you've been pleasantly surprised, and you've had 3 great exits? You know what you're doing. Has Santa Maria, with all these other results, caught you by surprise?
Oh, the hydro system, or gold domain system, absolutely. And the funny thing is, and I'm always doing research and thinking about things or whatever else, but I challenge anybody watching this. Parral has been a mining camp for approximately 600 years. It's well documented and everything else. Go type in Google, go into Google or some search engine, and type Parral gold deposits Mexico. You know what you're going to see?
Nothing, I'm assuming.
Zero. They're all silver. So so now we're running into this, and it's a just total different beast. So
when you're defying history that way, for the layman at home, how big or important is that? Or is it possible that you've just, the party may end here, and it's just, maybe it's just some kind of an outlier fluke?
Well, you never know. The party could end here. We don't know. We just discovered this and recently in hole 22, and so I think the question is, and I've seen this, for the numerous years when I lived in the Val d'Or camp, and George, you probably remember this too, is that everyone with big old camps, and everyone has a way of thinking or an understanding of concept of why you have these deposits. And then time goes by and everything else, and then somebody walks in and not familiar with the camp, and says, well, why can't you have this? And next thing you know, there's a new model for the camp, and the camp gets revised and everything else. And this went through about 4 times with Val d'Or camp, the last one being a Cisco. when they the Canadian Malartic in this big, low grade open pit beast.
Got sold for billions of dollars.
Yeah. So, is this one of these that, you know what, you haven't been paying attention to these things, but you should have? I don't know.
Is that the eyes that you brought? Is that why you think that's happening right now, Peter? Because you brought a fresh set of eyes?
It could well be, because I do know the more we're looking right now on surface, and believe me, there's a lot of mapping going on, is we're seeing a lot more of these diorite porphyry dikes. And to the point, George, the next surface drill results that we put out, there's going to be some images of a three-dimensional model of what these dikes look like, and we've modeled them over, from surface down to I'd say 200, 250 meters over a strike length of 400 meters so far. And we've relogged historical drilling, and we're still, putting ours into it. But we can see these extend for 950 meters right now. So,
so you've got a ton of drilling to do.
Well, potentially, we'll see. But as you know, we started out with 8,000. Then we added the underground component. That's 9,200, and then I guess you were probably on vacation when we added another 5,000 meters.
Oh, I was here for that. We talked about that last time. You went from the above ground. You went from 9,000 to 9,200 to 14,200.
Yeah. So we're aggressively going after this thing. But I honestly, I kid you not, what's so unique about this gold domain thing, and I wish there was a way to you could see it, but a lot of times, if you're looking for gold or silver or whatever, you drill a hole and you're just praying for a sniff, and or get one interval or something in a hole, or whatever. And these holes in this gold domain system, the lowest cutoff on gold is 0.005 grams per ton. That's the cutoff limit. It can't, the system we're using can't detect gold over that.
Right. Over or under?
Or under, sorry, under
right.
that. Yeah, okay. Excuse me, sorry. And in the percentile of these holes in the gold domain system, it's anywhere between 97 to 100% gold populated, reporting an assay value. The whole hole, George.
I've never even heard of something like that.
Yeah. So there's a big impregnated gold halo here with other things going through it. So, and it's hydrothermal, not epithermal.
Is it too early to think that the gold might be bigger than the silver?
Well, you also got to remember too that we're talking about dollars and cents here too. So there's a couple of digits on the end of the price of silver that doesn't compare to the digits on gold, right? So, but no, I mean, this is extremely interesting. We're not losing, and believe me, to the shareholders, we're not losing focus on this.
Oh no, I don't think anyone thinks that.
Epithermal system. We're continuing to develop that and everything else. But true to what I've been saying from the beginning, exploration, and it wasn't properly explored before, and we've gone through it. And by doing things systematically and logically and reading between the lines what they're telling you, I mean, we've done a lot in a very short period of time, a lot.
We want to talk about what's next, but to do that, I'm going to bring up a couple of images, right? So you can kind of walk us through a little bit.
Yeah. So those are two sections, and the top section is where hole 20-15 was drilled on the same section. And that was an intersection of about 2.2 kilos per ton silver. And it's a funny thing, if you'll notice a kind of the Y shape, that's a classic. If you go to any textbook in university or Google and you go epithermal vein systems and then look at images, you'll see this classic Y, and there it is, you know, the big hit in the classic Y.
Right there.
And, yeah, but further below, there's an example of the big sheeted vein diorite dike structure coming in where it gets extremely wide, and up to 150 meters wide, and the whole thing is obliterated with, you know, thin veins or sheets of veins like papers in a book going through it containing gold values or other mineralization. And then, you know, a breccia on the contact where it just ripped itself through. But when it healed itself with sulfides, which are gold bearing, and onwards and onwards. So, you know, they're related, they're cousins. You can't have an epithermal system without a hydrothermal system, George. It's impossible. So, you know, maybe, and you got to remember that, you know, not everything is sitting vertically. You know, this could be rotated. I think it's probably rotated 45 degrees. That's actually the plunge that we're seeing is actually a rotation of 45 degrees.
What's the significance of that?
Well, it's the only significance is it's tilted, which is nothing bad with that. The interesting thing is, you know, down in Mexico, you never had glaciation, but you certainly had erosional plains. And so, you know, there's a whole pile of erosion on surface that, you know, part of that topography is gone. So what part of this whole rotated 45 degrees things are you sitting on? And so in this case, if you applied that model, then to the east, you would be in the epithermal domain, and following it down at 45 degrees, you'd be approaching at the other end of the property, the hydrothermal domain or the porphyry of the source of it. So, but we'll see. It's still early in the game.
I'm going to try to give you a remote control here just for you to use your mouse. Where do you go to? So give it a try there, Peter. I think you might have control. There you go. What's next?
Well, the next thing is what we're doing on surface right now is we're following these big sheeted structures. So what we're doing is trying to drill them deeper and to see what's going down here. And what we've seen is the mineralization is actually increasing as we go deeper, George. So we've stepped out. You know, the last set of holes that we put out to the public were holes from surface drilled in one fence, drill holes 25, 26, and 27. So then we stepped out another 75 meters to the west, and we drilled holes 28, 29, 30, all in one fence, with the last hole, of course, 30 being very deep. Then we stepped out another 75 meters to the west, and then holes 31, 32, 33, and then another 75 meters again, 34, 35, and 36. And right now we're drilling hole 36, and that will be the last hole in that fence drilled to the west, because we're approaching our property boundary right there. So
what's the timeline on that, Peter?
Hole 36?
Until you get right out to the boundary.
Probably another 10 days.
What?
Yeah.
So how many more drill holes then should we be expecting assays for over the next 45 days?
30 to 45 days. Oh my goodness.
Okay, sorry. It's not to pin you down to a specific timeline, but you've got more holes. How many more holes are there to be drilled that we're going to be waiting on assays for?
Well, right now you're waiting on 3, 6, 9, 8 are in. The 9th hole is being drilled. So you're waiting on assays on 8 holes. We still have approximately 4,000 meters to drill, or 3,700 meters to drill. So, you know, on top of that, George, is probably going to be another, I don't know, 8 to 10 holes anyways. And then of course there's more, the ongoing drilling is underground too.
So when do you think you get to your next resource calculation? At one point, do you say, okay,
Yeah,
let's do a resource calculation here?
well, that's a great question. That is really a great question, because I'll tell you personally, I can't wait till we do one, because that'll be the proof in the pudding of what we've been doing. But also, I've got to get enough holes in this gold domain thing to make it meaningful as far as being able to tie it into a resource and the shape and everything else. So, once we finish hole 36 to the west, 37, 38 and going forwards and everything else, is some of that going to be on the gold domain at depth or in between these fences? And then some of it going to be over at the Santa Maria epithermal silver system, filling in holes for a high quality resource there. That's something myself and our project manager Wahim are plotting. We've been doing a lot of it lately, looking at stuff. So
how will these recent results impact the overall size and tonnage when you're doing that future resource count?
It's cute. It's crazy. It's crazy. What I'll tell you what you'll end up with. You'll end up at the end of the day. I bet you this is what you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with something that will have a lower grade, a huge amount of ounces at a lower grade, of which would be amenable to bulk mining, such as mining underground or whatever. But within that huge volume, you're going to have multi-million ounces of very high grade silver that will be mined in a different manner, because you want the high grade component. Even though it's in a big shell, you'd want to keep this. So there'll probably be a minimum 2 mining methods, maybe 3, applied to this type of deposit. I'll bet you dollars of donuts that's where it ends up at the end of the day, which is nothing wrong with that, because that allows you to.
Sure, nothing wrong with that at all.
No, that's a great problem to have, because you can do bulk very cheap, and then on the other side you got grade is king. So if metal prices go down, you have the grade on one side and you leave the other stuff there waiting for the prices to go back, and then back and forth. So, and
I know we're talking about hypothetical, so people should realize that, but look, you're a guy with 3 successful exits. You know what you're talking about, and you're trying to give investors an idea of where you think this is going to end up. If we ended the interview right there, it would be a fantastic interview and very exciting, and anticipating the rest of these holes coming out with great anticipation, especially now that we're all back from vacation and you've got everyone's attention. But on top of all this, August 19th, I'm reading the headline, you close a $6.9 million private placement in connection with the proposed spin out of the company's copper assets.
Yep.
So on top of, Fabled Silver Gold, originally looked for silver, now finding gold, you're also spinning out copper assets. Give us an update as to just briefly what's happening there with the project and what's happening with the spin out as far as timelines go.
Yeah. So as the Canadians know, that the first weekend of August is a holiday weekend. It's a 3-day weekend. Well, everybody was going on holidays, including my wife throwing a big barbecue. I was on a plane heading for the mountains in British Columbia for a week to bang on rocks. So I was up there with the boys, and that was just an amazing time. And I must say that the streak of good weather they've had up there, George, is phenomenal, the amount of work we're getting done. So that has advanced tremendously. And at the same time, when I came back, I think it was the same week when I just got back, we closed the financing. And originally we went out for $6 million, and it was oversubscribed. And we used a 15% over allotment, which brought it to $6.9 million.
Could you have gotten even more? Was it one of those where you just had to cut it off?
Yeah.
Are you able to share with us how much interest there actually was from the market in terms of
I'd say more than double. But it just too dilutive if you don't need it at the time. So, but it just leaves us in such a great position, because after seeing what I've seen and what the guys are doing and what the drones are flying, and the ground geophysics that we're doing, and just the quality of some of the stuff that we're looking at, and we're all cashed up. I mean, we're in great shape next year. Like next year, regardless of what happens, I mean, I have all the money in the world for next year's project. Plus, we just finished this year's project, or just about to. So we're the Fabled Copper is going to be great, and as you know, for Fabled Silver shareholders, for every 5 shares of Fabled Silver they have, they're going to get 1 free share of this Fabled Copper thing.
That's a 20% dividend. I don't want to quite call it dividend.
Yeah,
but that's a nice little gift.
Well, it is, and it's a company with a bunch of horsepower behind it too. I mean, it's got a full tank of gas, $6.9 million, and you'll be seeing who's going to be on the board of this company. And these are old friends of mine that I've worked with in the past, and they're all very savvy in the mining industry and in the copper sector also. So it's.
But friends or not, they're not coming to sit on your board unless they've taken a look at data and feel very comfortable with a company that they'll be board members of.
Yeah, I can actually tell you one of the chaps. He retired quite a few, 4 or 5, must be at least 5 years now, maybe 6. Anyways, he retired from Detour Gold, and Detour got bought out and everything.
Sure.
And he hasn't entered into the field at all, and this is his.
Nice, great. That's great anecdotal evidence, right? That he's not going to come out of retirement for what he thinks is a dud. That's for sure.
Yeah. So and there's a few of these chaps, but it'll be all known very shortly.
What does it say that Rob McEwen, one of North America's most successful mining entrepreneurs, is also one of the, I think, did he do $2.5 million of this private placement?
I can't comment on any part of that.
Okay, I thought I saw that. I thought that's what I read on the site. But what does it say that someone like him came into the private placement?
Oh, that would, if you do have a person like that, then certainly, it's a property of merit, and people rank them up in different tier ratings. I don't like doing that because there's just too many variables to do it, but it would certainly be quite the stamp of approval. That's for sure, George. But I will say that if you go to our website, in the top right-hand corner, there's a video section there, and there's a little teaser on copper that I put there for my trip. And if you want to see what I found, go to that, and you'll find it quite intriguing, I'm sure.
We'll be doing that. I'll be doing that right after this.
And it's something that no one's seen in 25 years. I had to dig a hole to get in there, but you'll see it, George.
All right, I'm going right after this.
Yeah, it's very impressive, I must say.
Peter, congratulations, man. While all kidding aside, we like to have a little fun while we're doing these, but while everybody is just taking August off, including me, trying to, gas up again, get some R&R and get ready. I couldn't believe when I saw the lineup of press releases, and successful press releases. These weren't, you added George to an advisory board and maintenance, housekeeping, one after another. August 17th, August 23rd, September 1st, September 8th. Those were all on drilling. August 19th was the $6.9 million private placement. On behalf of all shareholders, I'm going to say, A, congratulations at the, and B, thanks for working so hard, so overtime to create shareholder value. And we're wishing you fantastic success with the next set of drill results. And and we're going to have you back on every couple of weeks.
Well, George, come from you, I really appreciate that. But I love what I do, although sometimes it gets a little hard in the head. But this is a very interesting time, both for Scorpio, or sorry, for Fabled Silver.
good old past successes aren't creep.
You forget. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Peter. Thanks for taking the time. We know you're a busy guy. When you take 30 minutes out to talk to everybody in detail, it's much appreciated. I know the shareholders love it. Can't wait to have you back, buddy.
Okay, good on you. Thanks, George.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platforms. To Peter Hawley, President CEO of Fabled Silver Gold, trades in Canada under FCO, and for friends of the US under FBSGF. Now's the time for you to do your due diligence. If you're new to the story, start off at Agoracom, get to the company's profile page there, because there's a lot going on. So we give you a good 1,000 foot view, overview of all, because we know that mining exploration can be very technical. So we give you a really nice view of the overall story. And then, as Peter said, from there, or you can see it right above Peter, head over to the company's website, fabledsilvergoldcorp.com, and do your deeper dive due diligence, including the teaser video that Peter's talking about what he found or what he saw or what he did in British Columbia on the company's copper assets. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.